is anyone out there who still doubts that America is a place where all things are possible, who still wonders if the dream of our founders is alive in our time, who still questions the power of our democracy, tonight is your answer.
Former President Barack Obama still carries major influence in the Democratic Party. And it's no small thing when he picks up the phone and calls a political aspirant to offer some advice. And while much of the Democratic establishment remains nervous about the upstart progressive who won the Democratic primary for New York City mayor, Mara Gay reports in the New York Times that the former president has shown an interest in Zohran Mamdani's campaign. Quote, in a lengthy call in June, Obama congratulated Mamdani, offered him advice about governing, and discussed the importance of giving people hope in a dark time, according to people with knowledge of the conversation. So what does that mean for Mamdani's candidacy and the future of the Democratic Party at large? Christina Greer is a political professor, or a professor of political science at Fordham University and the co-host of the WNYC FAQ NYC. Max Rose is a former Democratic congressman of New York who represented Staten Island and parts of southern Brooklyn. Thank you both for being here with me tonight. So, Obama knows the weight that he carries around, what it means to someone who's new to the game to get a phone call from him. So, Christine, I'll start with you. I guess, what are the kinds of tea leaves you're reading from this new reporting?
So, let's back up, right? Mamdani wins handily June 24th in the primary, ousts former disgraced governor Andrew Cuomo, and it's a decisive victory. And so Obama knows what it's like. He was 44 years old when he ran for the presidency. Zohran Mamdani is 33. Both of them have very light records, both, fantastic campaigners. But we know that campaigning isn't governance. So to receive a phone call from Barack Obama, who understands some of these tensions, and we know historically the two hardest jobs in America, some would argue the hardest is the presidency, the second hardest is the mayor of New York City. LBJ actually said that being a mayor was harder than being the president. But in this particular moment, when you have your Hakeem Jeffries, your Kathy Hochul's, your Kirsten Gillibrands, your Chuck Schumer standing on the sidelines and not properly endorsing, this does give him a little boost to remind him that there are a lot of Democrats, actually, who do subscribe to progressive politics, who do want Big D Democrats to actually say things with a full-throated chest to say, we actually don't want to be Republican light. And so this is a moment that he's given a lot of people hope. Now, I have some questions as to whether or not some of these policies can actually be enacted in a Trump presidency. However, when I talk to other voters, and on FAQ NYC, we talk about this quite a bit, a lot of people felt that politics had sort of passed them by. The draconian policies coming out of Washington, D.C., the chaos, the fact that our immune systems are just constantly on edge thinking about national politics. This has been a drop of hope that a lot of folks didn't realize they needed. And so to hear someone talk about policies and a forward-thinking program for New York City when we have a current mayor that seems to be, I would say out to lunch, but I should probably say out to the club. And so I think for a lot of
Smoking
folks...
hookah?
Ma'am. So I think a lot of folks feel like he has actually given them a reason to be interested in politics and policy yet again.
Max, I know you haven't been, sorry, I'm still chuckling at Eric Adams at the club.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult.
I have friends who've literally seen Eric Adams at the club. But anyway, I know you haven't always been sold on Zohran Mamdani, to put it diplomatically, but does what we're seeing happen right now, and this phone call from Obama, his world, their interest in potentially, it seems like they could come out at some point with more open support. Does it change your thinking about what he might represent in terms of the future of the party and how other moderates might eventually get behind him?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, what's been interesting about Barack Obama's post-presidential tenure is that these phone calls are actually more frequent than people realize, that whenever I think he sees someone who is a rising star that deserves not just attention, but also almost nurturing to a certain extent. He'll make phone calls like this. It's been reported that he's had lengthy conversations, for instance, with Senator Alyssa Slotkin throughout her whole career, someone that's, known as more of a moderate. This is to say nothing of the fact that the party should not be ignoring the degree to which Zoran ran a campaign that mobilized hundreds of thousands of people. So not calling him is actually the idiotic thing to do. And I would also say that as you look at this general election, this presents an opportunity for Zoran Mamdani to, once again show his political chops. Right? Like there's nothing like an election, whether it's a primary or a general, to the best rise to the top, the best ideas rise to the top, and his ability to govern will actually be strengthened by several more months of litigating his ideas. So I don't see any of this as really truly a problem.
Do you think the rest of the Democratic establishment here in New York is soon going to come around, Christina? I mean, they've kind of tiptoed around the edges. Some have really stayed far, far away from Mamdani.
Right.
But the consensus here, at least in the people I talk to in the city, is, I mean, they don't think Cuomo's going to beat him.
No.
And certainly, if Obama ever comes and says, I'm backing this guy,
right.
I mean, it's probably a wrap.
So the train has left the station, and as of now, it seems as though Mamdani will be the 111th mayor of New York City. And so we're at the point now where it's either get on the train or get run over by the train. And so I think there are a lot of people who are scratching their heads when we think about the New York Democratic leaders, Hakeem Jeffries, Kirsten Gillibrand, Chuck Schumer. We understand that they're not Democratic socialists, they're not super progressives, but clearly the citizens of New York have shown that they are very interested in some of the policies that Zoran Mamdani is putting forth. Affordable housing, really thinking holistically about how we can govern a city. As light as his record may be, he clearly has tapped into something deeper than that. So there's going to be a point, I call it the Nick Lachey, Jessica Simpson scenario, where it's like at a certain point in time, he is going to rise above some of these electeds who were part of the establishment, and they need to actually understand that their own voters are interested in these policies, and they need to figure out a way to work with him. So if he's far, far to the left, then we can have some compromise. And I think what he's already started to say is, the types of people that he's thinking about for his administration, the types of people that he's willing to have conversations with. He said he's not, adverse to talking to former Bloomberg, deputy mayors and, folks who worked in that particular orbit. And I think that'll make the money crowd feel a little bit more at ease. I think it'll make the real estate crowd feel a bit more at ease. We've already seen the labor institutions slowly but surely coming around because I think the voters of New York have said that they're looking for a different type of politic, especially after this particular Adams administration.
We have literally 5 seconds, Max, but do you think Cuomo has even a shot now?
Yeah, I think there's some shot between the Nick Lachey and the hookah references. I'm having a tough time maintaining my train of thought. But what's fascinating right now is Trump is blowing a massive budget hole in the New York State budget, as well as in the budgets of states across the country. So the debate in the fall will, yes, be an affordability debate, but it will also be a debate about how do we protect the social safety net in New York, in this country, Medicaid being top of the list. So that's going to change the conversation as well a little bit. Tax fairness will matter, but it will also matter who those resources go to. That's going to be a different conversation that I think is an important one to have.